Let's hit the high road. Let's hit the high road. It's the first touch, strong connection. It lays deep in your soul. Feel the kindness strongly coming, 'cause you can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road. Let's hit the high road.
Hi, it's Nancy Yareld, and welcome to Nancy's Psychic View on the high road to humanity. And I have a wonderful lady here today. Daniela Bumann is here today, and she's going to talk to us, you guys, about the dolphins. She actually channels the dolphins. And welcome to the high road.
Thank you so much, Nancy. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today.
I'm excited you're here. I have never had anybody. I take that back. I did have a lady on many years ago. I've been doing the show, gosh, 7 years now. Can you believe it? And I
Wow.
had her on, and she lived in Hawaii and she talked about the dolphins, but that's been many years ago. Um, but this book, I have to tell you guys, is amazing because this is all channeled information from the dolphins for humanity. And we're going to get into it today. I have lots of questions, and just there's such good information that you guys are going to get from this today. So I'm just so glad you're here, Daniela. You guys, really quickly, before we get into it, I want to talk about the border. I feel so strongly about this. Here's a headline I pulled up. Border Patrol catches 40 illegal migrants stuffed into several vehicles. This is about a few hours ago. And there were 11 men that could be seen lying down and stuffed into the back of a white colored pickup truck. This stuff is just going on and on. And people, this is dangerous. Here's what I want to say. I understand people want to migrate and want to come to the country. I get that. But, you got to do it in the right way. If I wanted to move to Scotland, they sure wouldn't let me just walk in. You know what I mean? And I thought
Yes.
about it actually. So I just want to say this, and it's not fair to Texas. And Texas border standoff with the feds continues despite U.S. Supreme Court order. And I pulled this offline. This does come from the Military Times and the Texas Tribune. And they say the Texas National Guard and state troopers are still rolling out concertina wire and preventing Border Patrol agents from accessing most of Shelby Park. So they're standing their ground, you guys. It's a 47-acre Eagle Pass Park that sits on the bank of the Rio Grande, where thousands of migrants have crossed. And I've mentioned this before. I've lived in Texas and New Mexico, and the Rio Grande can be dangerous to cross, especially this time of year. Those continued efforts come despite the U.S. Supreme Court earlier this week vacating a lower court's decision that prevented Border Patrol agents from cutting the state's wire to apprehend people who already crossed the river. And, I just want to say one thing. Everybody just needs to get out there and vote, because that's the only way this is going to come to a stop. And I'll leave it at that. Would you like to say anything, Daniela?
Well, I think if we want change, we have to add our perception to the mix.
Correct.
So, whichever way anyone is going to vote, vote,
But
because
vote.
if you don't
Correct.
speak up, you won't be heard.
And yeah, and that's it. Use your voice. We all have a voice, and we're here to,
We
use it.
do.
Use it. Let me tell you a little bit about Daniela. She is a Swiss native. She's based in California. She is a corporate consultant. She's an international teacher. She's a transformational speaker, and she's a life coach and an evolutionary conscious guide. Her insights and teachings open the pathways for change. So she's helping individuals tap into their spiritual potential and fostering a greater unity on earth. And that's what this is about. This is really about connection. And I just want to ask the question right off the bat. Tell us your story. What happened that you became connected with the dolphins?
What happened? Well, it's just amazing how everything in life connects with everything else,
Mhm.
from the time we're born to wherever we're at now, right? So it's my whole life has prepared me, and for this journey really that I've been on, and for all of us, it's important that when life happens to us, to not push against it, but to go with it and to realize that life is happening for us, not against us, even though at the moment it feels like it may be happening against us. Because it's all in the process of evolution, of bringing about and transforming and bubbling up that water like a fountain, coming up and out, that wisdom and insight that then ripples out to everyone else. But the way I started to channel the dolphins was, I think my prior book prepared me for that, because I went through a stage of traveling back and forth to Europe, being very involved in my parents' aging process. I took care of them. I started to build a coaching and speaking practice in Switzerland and in the United States. And because of it, I started to wear down my reserves, even though an Energizer bunny. I realized when I was preparing for a keynote and suddenly couldn't move my hands and my legs felt like molasses,
Wow.
scared the living daylight out of me, I realized some things had to change. Now, with that said, if it wasn't for a lot of mindfulness habits I had already integrated, I couldn't have even done, what I've done to that extent. Now, that basically birthed the book High Performance Without Pain, which is all about the flow state, a previous version of the dolphin's wisdom. And it's a 7-step blueprint to reclaim your vibrant life and get into a flow state.
Yeah, and I want to stop you a second. It's
Yeah.
really interesting. God, the divine spirit, whatever you want to say, always sends me the people that I need and the audience needs in order. It's quite interesting. And I just decided this week, I've been doing 2 or 3 shows a week, and it's burning me out because I'm so psychic that I read all these books and I connect with all of you people who are also intuitive. And even though it's on Zoom, it doesn't matter. That energy, I'm depleting my energy. So I'm going to just mention that I'm cutting it down to 1 a
Good
week
for you.
because I have to save my energy. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And that's what happened to you, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. Gosh, how
Yeah.
weird is that? Because I just
Yeah.
realized it. I mean, it was like something hit me on the head and it was like, what are you doing?
I think they
You
may have been
wanna-
working with you already before we got on the call.
Well, I'm
See, every
serious though.
step, it's really perfect. Every step is really part of the show.
Yeah.
Even though we end up falling in love with our plans. And believe me, I like to check mark things off and get stuff done. So I
Yeah.
know. However, the plan oftentimes is what's happening. It's what's happening. And the more we're able to blend that consciousness with our human being plan, the easier it will flow.
So you slowed down and you started to take better care of yourself. And
Yes.
is that when you connected with these guys, when you chose?
So what happened was I had already had mindfulness habits. I've worked with presence a lot. I've worked with exploring consciousness, spirituality, all of that. I've done that from a very early age on, from like 14 on that I remember. So then I started to, within my coaching practice, I started to see that some of these principles in the 7 habits in the book, how important they were. The first principle is presence, reduce anxiety, pain, and chaos. And then the second principle goes into judgment awareness. The reason why I'm talking about this, because it directly relates to the dolphin's wisdom.
Sure.
So this was all a preparation, because I realized when I was working with executives with high level jobs, but folks from every walk, that I was successful in my work with them, but not until I introduced principles that shifted their consciousness.
Right. Exactly.
And it was just habits. It was just habits otherwise. But if you don't have the consciousness wrapped around those habits, you don't have a container, you don't have a vessel. So I started to really coach my clients through those 7 habits or those 7 virtues. And then after I did that, I did a book, the High Performance Without Pain book, the planner. I ended up doing the workbook because I realized people need a workbook. Then I realized they need a planner. Again, it's about integration. So I went through a little break, and then I felt another phase of exhaustion because I had a lot of nerve pain on and off, that when I initially prepared for my keynote, I had all this nerve pain and my fingers and legs just wouldn't do what it was supposed to do. And so, there I was able to deepen. This goes a lot with going what the dolphins are talking about. I was able to deepen my presence practice, my moment to moment sensory perceptive awareness, which is also what you're talking about, Nancy.
Mhm.
The moment is so rich. If you're not tracking the past or the future, if you're not tracking it all constantly into the middle of it, is
Well,
so
yeah.
rich.
Well, yeah, and let me just interject here, because when you do track it, you're just reliving it, and the energy is just refocusing all over again. People don't
Correct.
realize that, because that's why it's so important to be in the present moment. I am a dreamer. I love to, and let me just say this, I'm a visionary, and I know a lot of people are, and I like to visualize, but there's a balance, because you can get stuck in the visualization and not be here on the earth. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. So back to
Mhm.
your question,
Yeah.
I love how you summarize that, Nancy.
Thank you.
But back to your question. So I was going through a phase where I've very much my whole life practiced energy management because of some of those reasons. And the
Mhm.
High Performance Without Pain book is all about energy management, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, mindful tasking, etc.
Okay.
But I went through this phase where I was just exhausted and there was no gap in between,
Ah,
and I could no longer manage it. I really felt like I had reached my breaking point because nerve pain is very debilitating. And I'm very sensitive to drugs, so I can't take a lot of drugs,
right.
to help myself in that way.
You're an
So,
empath?
yes,
Yes, me too. Okay. I get you. I can't either.
yes. Yeah,
Right.
I'm very, I have a joke with this. I have a very good sense of humor.
Okay.
This joke with my doctor, and it's basically goes like, I make a horrible drug addict, like,
Right. Okay.
because I can't, I
You
take
just fall
as soon as too
asleep,
much
right?
Advil, then it's already my body goes, you crazy, you. So, but I went through this phase of just really a lot of debilitating pain, and it affected me on every level. And I remember sitting on the couch, and suddenly I felt myself slipping into the water, and I literally slipped, not into a meditative state, not into a higher dimensional place. I slipped to the other side. And there, literally, I felt like I was picked up by the dolphin consciousness. And that's where they took me and continued to take me through this visual journey that was very, very intense, very intense. The first part of the book talks about that. It's written in a poem form, and it just was exactly how I always imagined it to be when you slip to the other side. Um, Coming back was a bit challenging because suddenly many of the filters that I had before were gone. And so I came back into the body, and there I was. And so I had to readapt and integrate many of the new understandings and teachings as I was living in the human vehicle. So, after about a year's time, I started to get better at it because it was inducing such a state where as soon as I would think about them, or I would slip to the other side.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
I'll try to live that way. It's, so now I've integrated it much more, being able to live in both dimensions. So that's big part of helping the human vehicle, for the listener grow and move through the ascension process as our nervous system is recalibrating and the body is recalibrating,
Yeah,
our mind is recalibrating.
I know. I have lots of questions for you. Let me just say, you guys, so you get this. This is all channeled what the dolphins say. And I love how you say they're the angels of the sea. And also I want to mention, how they talk about, and you talk about in the book, how we come from water, because we are 70% water. So I think that's, needs to be mentioned. You talk about the evolution of humanity. They say communication in itself is much more than just words being spoken. Interwoven communication is an energetic alignment, a perception, play, and sensing, a frequency expanding beyond our words. And let's talk about the frequency, because that's how you were able to communicate with them. You communicated what? Telepathically with them, I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
want to expand upon any of that, or?
Sure. So basically, I've always been a very sensory perceptive being. So, being able to sense things or looking at the trees and looking at the colors, and I'm taken in by those colors. I mean, I've become part of these colors. And so
Right.
that's a lovely gift, but it can also be challenging at times. However, working with the dolphins, it was very helpful because they do talk a lot about the sensory perceptiveness and how humanity needs to soften and open the sensory perceptiveness up so you can see past what's in front of you, right?
Right.
So in the way that I ended up communicating, or they ended up communicating with me, really is where I would just, I guess, became a hollow bone, like the natives would put it. And their energy is very loving. It is very joyful, but it is also very directive. And they're dynamos. Their energy just, just like you see them in the water. They're dynamos. So they're literally just kind of swooped in, and then it could be 3 hours later.
So they're here to help humanity. Here to help us evolve. They know that we're changing. They know the frequencies are changing. And let's flip around a little bit. You do talk about the animal kingdom, and I want to talk about that. How do the animals, like, they know right now? Obviously, the dolphins know because they talk all about it in this book, all about the ascension, all about us waking up, the frequency, our DNA changing, all of it. How is this affecting the animals? Can you talk about that?
Sure. So the animals, I mean, Mother Nature is very much a part of this book. As much as the dolphins talk about it, they embody Mother Nature just as much, and her tremendous part in this transformation. And of course, we live on planet Earth, on Mother Nature, and so does the animal kingdom. And so they definitely also go through their own evolution in terms of their consciousness, but even their physical evolution, cats' faces or structures with time is probably going to change. And so will dogs, if we look at our animal companions that many folks have. So they go through it just as we are. And of course, in many ways, they also support us in our process.
Yeah.
Well, but they've, of course, by what humanity in ignorance has done to Mother Earth, of course, that has also greatly affected the ecosystem and the cycles. And of course, the directions of how the birds are flying and the seasons, and it has affected all of that. So, so they talk a lot about the ecosystem. So looking at humanity, and if you look at the animal kingdom and how their patterns have been disrupted, right? Their directional patterns have been disrupted,
Right.
and ours. And of course, in some ways, it is an order. That is what has to happen, because pattern won't change if you don't change it, or
Do
your
they,
life won't change unless your patterns change.
right. Do they talk about a time where I hate zoos. I can't go to the zoo anymore. It's really interesting. I can't go. I went the last time with a friend of mine. She had a little one. I said, "Oh, I'll go," you know. It was
Yeah.
the most horrible experience. I just wanted to let them all go.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand why we were doing this. They looked miserable. And I'm so intuitive that I picked up on all of it and I had to get out of there. But so my question to you is, did they talk about that as we evolve? I'm hoping, I would imagine, that they will be free again and we won't have this type of circus and zoos.
I do think they, yes, they do. And, because it's all about the freedom and the liberation of this old paradigm as it's breaking open, as it's combusting, right? And
Right.
so, of course, a lot of that has to come to consciousness. I haven't gone to zoos in forever on end because I hate anything caged.
Mm-mm.
I'm a big promoter of freedom
Freedom.
for everyone, not
Me
just
too.
me. I mean,
Yeah,
try to extend it for everyone.
absolutely.
And so that's again going part to the ecosystem, that starting to create a different internal ecosystem that is in equilibrium, that is starts to be in equilibrium, in unity, aligned with the principles of love, the
Right.
power of love
Right.
versus love of power, creating that ecosystem, that internal environment that starts to flourish. So when we're talking, you and I are talking, with our audience are talking, and there suddenly becomes apparent a different level of sensitivity.
Hmm. I like what you said. The give out love and not the power of love. People trying to use it for it's the answer. It truly is the answer. Our frequency of love is the highest frequency. I want to talk about color. I talk about color on the show all the time. I meditate. I bring in the colors all the time. I believe they're healing when I bring in all the different colors of the rainbow. But what they say is each color carries a different quality and awareness, frequency unique to your own evolution. And wow, I was like right on. I've always felt that. How do they use color? Do they talk more about, I didn't get to read the whole thing, so that's why I'm asking.
It's all right. It's a lot to read.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's got a lot of depth. So yes, color very much. I think anyone that carries the energy of a light worker, meaning somebody that is responsible or has taken on that charge of elevating consciousness, it becomes much more aware of the effects the color has, because everything vibrates. It goes back to everything in the universe vibrates. Everything is energy. Movement
Right.
is not just what you do, it's who you are. And what you are is a vibrational frequency. It all vibrates
Yeah.
one way or another way. Some people spiral, other people spiral down, others go to the left, to the right. And hence color is the same way. If you look at a plant right now, I have a beautiful green little plant here on my office desk. If you look behind it, it's got an energy behind it. So, of course, for folks that are not familiar with that, it helps them perhaps understand that a little bit more. But color is tremendously important. Whether like today I'm wearing the gray. It's rather cold in California today, but I have the hot pink underneath it, right? It's
Right.
so color is really all about how it can help us, how it can help you evolve into those next phases. Have you ever had a phase where you're wearing a lot of red and then
Yeah.
suddenly you're like, no, I'm done. It's no more red.
Yeah. I wear a lot of black because I'm always trying to protect my light, I think. And I've done that for years. I didn't know why I did it for a long time. I want to talk about we're upgrading our DNA. We're changing. And so what did they say about this? Because I was concerned that people who took the jab were maybe that DNA was being affected. I don't want to get into it too much on the show because I have to watch what I say. But I'm just wondering, what do they say about the DNA and that all changing?
Yes, the DNA, there's a fight for our DNA.
Okay.
There's a fight. So there is a fight of the DNA, and the more you evolve your own consciousness on a personal and spiritual, professional level, the more you're going to be able to become the master of your energy. Again, energy management. We are all energy. Every color has a vibration. Every plant has a vibration. Every animal has a vibration. So the more we end up becoming the masters of our own energy, the less our DNA can be up for grasp and for manipulation,
Got
because
it.
a lot of these things have been programmed even ahead of time. Um, that's why some people live in the United States and other people have this affiliation and other people have that affiliation. But for the dolphin consciousness, it's not about any affiliations. It's about the unity, vibration, and frequency. So it can go back to a state of equanimity, of equilibrium, of equality for all of us to become more the masters of our own being. So this relates directly to your question with the DNA. So all are upgrading to whatever extent they are able to allow the upgrade to happen within themselves, because this upgrade requires a lot of, like what I went through right after was so much of what I knew no longer applied. It just no longer applied. It was a wash in
Well,
many
yeah.
ways.
Yeah, and let me interject here. I think I just want to say a couple things for the audience, because I know as people are waking up and they're starting to see things that they didn't see before, you become more aware, the veil is lifted, and you start to see the truth. Another thing I want to bring up really quickly that is the pains in our body. I have experienced pains through my body. I want to say this in case I know there's other people out there that are experiencing this too, because as we upgrade, we are energetic. We are made up of energy. And so it's painful. And so do you want to talk, do they say anything about that, or how?
Yeah, there is a whole chapter in the book. Maybe you can look it up while I'm talking, and I can
Oh, go ahead.
open it up real quick, about the new pattern.
Restructuring a new energy frequency?
Yes, what page is that?
215. I turned right to it. I like the dolphins. I kept opening the book up yesterday, you guys, and it would be like the most profound thing. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? This is it's cool, you guys. It's really cool.
Yes, actually, you know what? Look, I have a tag in there actually
How
too.
funny. How funny.
Ahead of
You want
time. I had that
do you
in
want to
there.
read it? Do you want to read a little of that?
Well, yes, I think that may be a good idea. So,
Okay.
I want to give a little credit to my lovely friend and artist, John Webster, who did a fantastic job. And the Dolphins were very happy with him, because anyone I work with, I allow them, I want to really bring them up by letting them do what they do best. Let them do their gift, let them be in their flow with some direction,
Right.
But anyway, so, a lot of the drawings are just so much fun.
That's cute. That's
Okay.
cute. Yes.
So restructuring a new energy frequency, increased multisensory sensitivity and perception for the galactic human. The new energy frequency that has made itself buoyant upon your earth is like no other, shuffling quickly through the ethers and only available but unmistakably felt by all affected in different ways, to those with the commitment and ability to hold and ground it, channel it and funnel it through their human vehicle and existence. This is all part of your reconnection process and becoming more in tune and tuning to Earth's frequency, upon which you are building your life and living structures. Some of you have become increasingly sensitized, but also sensitive to what is known as the Schumann's resonances, which are the measure and capture of the global electromagnetic resonances generated and excited by the lightning discharges in this Earth's cavity formed by the Earth's surface and ionosphere. Your water also has a structure which is changing and upon which much intelligence is funneled through to you now. This kind of new and intergalactic human will have had to have done work on all the levels, including their personality, interconnected and interwoven relatability, and not only their spirituality, perhaps at times bypassed by some of you trying to get there but avoiding the true development of a well-rounded human.
Oh, I love that, man. That's true though. That's true. No shortcuts, man. No shortcuts.
Yes. So it's so this whole chapter talks a lot about that.
Well, they also talk about ego. I just bring that up too really quickly
Yes.
because it kind of goes hand in hand. People have to let go of the ego. I mean, we have to have an ego. This is what I think, and I'll let you say what you believe the Dolphins have want us to know. But I think you have to have a little bit to do what we do, just to live here, just to be here. You have to have a little bit. Otherwise, you couldn't function. What do you think?
Yes, I mean we all have an ego. That's just
Yeah,
part of our that's
we
part
are.
of being a human being. It's just self-mastery is about being in charge of the different aspects of your human beingness, but recognizing that you are a spirit having a human experience.
Right.
And part of the mastery is about being able to tap into that other component and successfully integrating that and living it on planet Earth.
Living it is the key. There's a
Yes,
lot of people that I have met over the years doing these interviews that speak it but don't live it. And I
yes,
think that's what the Dolphins are really talking about. And I also want to talk about a new Earth. They do talk about a new Earth and what it's going to be like. This really intrigued me, so I just want to know a little more. I wrote this down. They said star-seeded communications, broad and interjected, and the vibrations of rainbow colors has the capacity to cross and span multiple dimensions simultaneously. Now, they say we come from star seeds, or from stardust. I've always felt like we came from stars. So is that correct? Is that what the
yes.
dolphins say? Yeah, because
That is what the, yes,
I believe I used to be a star, and I know,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And that's okay. So expand upon this so the audience doesn't think I'm crazy. Uh,
So yes, and this goes back to, I think there's a is it in the scriptures from dust to I don't know quite this the saying, but there's a saying from dust to dust, or like
yeah, yeah,
yeah, right. And so this relates back to that. We're not just a human being in the flesh, and then we're
we're
you know we're
done. Yeah,
there again, this vibrational frequency, it is a resonance, hence going back to the Schumann's resonance. It's all one of the first things that they were sharing with me, the reason why this book was so important for this time, because it had to do with the interconnected, interwoven communication and interrelated, those three words they kept on repeating over and over: communication, interconnected, interwoven, and interrelated communication with the whole.
hmm,
And that we are just popped in like this. We are star seeds.
I love it. It's awesome. It's so awesome. And when you start to, and then it changes how you think about things. This book will really help a lot of people. And I feel that one thing that's really going to help people is to see the truth and not be so fearful about what's going on around them. You know, people as they wake up, I think, and are more centered, they start to be more connected to the earth and to the divine, to God, and then they're not so much afraid anymore.
Yeah.
The fear is gone. That's what I think. What do you think?
Yes. Yes. This book really is written in such a way where um, no matter from which walk you come, this is not a religious book.
Right,
It's a spiritual book. But no
right.
matter from which walk you come, it will work with you. It is a book. It's not a book that you read from the beginning to the end. You read pages and then you kind of marinate in that. You kind of marinate and you let it sit. And then what happens is it sort of starts to embalm you. And as it embalms you, it helps the frequency of the words that are embedded in the words start to shift your perception just a little, where you feel uplifted, or you feel like, oh, wow, I never thought of it that way, or right.
Right.
So,
I think their words have frequency that's helping our frequency when we read the book. Correct?
yes. Mhm.
That's what I got from it when I
Yes.
started to read it. I was like, oh, they're helping us with their words to shift, because words have power and words have frequency.
Like, the way they had me write it was through this descriptive way of writing,
Mm-hmm.
which is very poetic. It has this flow. It has this flow to it. And
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that from many folks that have read enough in the book. They said, wow, we can really feel the flow. Like
Right.
yesterday, I was talking to my hairdresser, and he ran back to his car and he grabbed the book and he's like, I want to tell you this part, really resonated with me. And when I read it, I just get goosebumps. I just feel like it uplifts me.
Yeah, and
And
that was their intention.
that was their intention. And he was
Yeah.
all, I just looked
Yeah.
at it because
Oh
I've
no, honestly, I mean, and not to interrupt your thought there, but Daniela, when I picked it up, and I interview a lot, and I picked it up, and I love dolphins, so I was really excited, and I was just pleasantly surprised by the information. It was like, wow, this is cool, and I couldn't wait. I mean, I marked a lot of stuff in your book. I just couldn't wait to read more. I want to talk a little bit, two things about the frequency of the water, about our drinking water, and also about becoming our full light body. When I read in here about the water, it's so sad and it scares me. I almost feel like our water's been polluted on purpose. I do. And I want you to
yes,
talk about this
yes,
because, and people have realized it because there's so many people who are, purifying their water. When I first
yes.
moved where I am at right now, the first thing I asked was, how's the water? Because we are made of water. So talk about this.
Well, it's the easiest way to control humanity is through the water, as you're drinking water.
I know I had to take a drink.
Because the majority,
I did plan that.
you planned it, Nancy. You planned it. You had it all timed.
Oh God. No, I didn't.
But that is really the easiest way to pollute the human's consciousness and disrupt and scatter her and his ability to think as an independent global thinker, and then perhaps expand their horizon into more of a galactic human, realizing it is, oh, we're we're global citizens, we're galactic citizens, not just part of the earth or one country, right? But like you just said, there is many people have caught on to that a long time ago. Have they been able to tap into why?
Yeah, why? What did the dolphins say the reason is? To control the
Yes.
population? Yes.
That's the easiest way to control the population is through the water, because
And
the water will
fluoride. Putting
up. Yes.
putting the fluoride, I won't, not to interrupt that thought of yours, but I won't use the toothpaste with the fluoride anymore because I'm
Yes.
psychic and I'm an intuitive and I know better. And
Right.
that's the way to dumb us down.
Well, when we do that, they can disrupt our. So the dolphins talk a lot about the sensory perceptiveness, right? So
Okay.
part of this challenges I ended up dealing with, I became even more sensitive,
Right.
which now I continue to integrate, and they're like, "Oh, this is awesome! Isn't it amazing how bright the colors are?" And this, and I'm trying to tell them, "Yeah, guys, but I live here. You don't."
Yeah.
But the point being that sensory perceptiveness, when you start to have that, you start to even increasingly see what's so and what's not so, what's right, what's not right. Your level of evolution of consciousness of it's a different kind of intelligence.
Hmm.
but it won't be able to get messed with nearly as much when you are acutely aware, right? And
Right.
so, of course, most of us, unfortunately, we do drink dirty water or not the best quality of water. So it affects, they can affect all of humanity. There's a lot that they did with fires by holding back water in Australia some time back ago, right?
Hawaii too.
Exactly. So the water, it really is a very, very big component. I am hoping and praying that good water will become increasingly less expensive, because if you want to buy good bottled water, it is very expensive.
Right.
You know, it's still turned into a business.
Do they have a positive outlook? I feel that people will wake up. I believe the good will win. I believe the light will shine, and what do they say?
What is your feeling when you are holding the book and the few pages that you've read? What is your feeling? I'll still answer, but what is your sense?
I feel that they have a lot of hope for us and that they know we're going to make it and they're doing everything they can to help us.
Yeah,
That's what I
that's what they're
feel.
doing. They're doing everything to help us now. This is what I've read or what you've
I
shared.
got like oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got I got a
Right in my
goosebumps in my
heart.
left.
When I hold this book, I got like palpitations in my heart. They're really all about the heart, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Which
that's
which
what I
which
got.
made it challenging writing the book, because I couldn't sob through the channeling. I did have to because they are completely open. So but they are
So am
not
I
the
right?
what's that?
Am I right? Are we gonna, do they feel that way? Like I think? Yes.
Yes, they are not denying the reality of what is happening currently. That is not what they're doing.
Right.
That's not what they're doing. What they are saying, though, is our path to transform that is we have to move deeper into the depth of our feelings, of our spiritual heart. We
Mhm.
have to allow that to open, and then not just open, that's not sufficient. You have to be able to integrate and take the steps, walking the spiritual path with human feet, with practical feet, integrating that. And as we do, so hence they're doing everything with the book to help us, on that journey, which is kind of like why each, in quotation, chapter is its own discourse, and why they don't want anyone to rush through it, because
Yeah, yeah, I like how it's written. It's really written differently. I've never seen anything like this. It's all to the left. It's all left justified throughout the entire book. Well, I'm going to say something to you, and it's just, and the audience knows this, but I really believe that the answer is connecting with the divine and connecting with the earth. And that's what brings about balance and peace. And when all the craziness goes on, you become an observer and not a participant. And to me, that's like huge. If I could get everyone to just connect to the earth and connect to the divine, to God,
yes,
into the, to the animals, for goodness sakes,
yes,
but it's really connecting to that vibration. It's the vibration of love. We're going back to the same thing, to the
yes,
heart, to love,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
So this understanding, you don't mind me just adding to that,
No.
is about being able to transform and to transcend through the heart. This is not to be understood, hence the preface at the very beginning of the book. This is not to be understood to be compared with everyone else's take
Yeah.
on ascension. This is about, you have to have the willingness to drop into your heart and allow that to connect with the other components of your infinite intelligence in order to open the pathway. And if you're staying in the intellectual knowledge because you are too afraid and attached to those wisdoms, perhaps that you've been taught by other people, you're not going to capture it. It will
Right.
be captured in the power of the now, in that moment.
Right. We got to get rid of the old programming. we have to get back into I just want to say this really quickly. It's like when you go out and you got a neighbor that you don't like, but when you change and you change into more of a love vibration, when you go outside and you see the neighbor you don't like, you actually say hello and you're in a different frequency. And when they see you're in a different frequency, then it changes them too. And I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes, beautifully said. The book is all about community building. It's all about, like, when I walk out the door, I will check on my elderly friend downstairs that's 92, and sometimes she calls me at 10 o'clock at night. And I'll talk. Sometimes I try to power walk. I stop 3 times because different neighbors are talking. It's about community building. It's about looking. It really
Looking out
is.
for each other.
Yeah, it really is, just in many ways, as it says in the Bible. It's not about preaching about the Bible, but you are your brothers, and you are your
Yeah.
brother's keeper,
Yeah.
and so it's not that foreign. It's not that foreign.
Daniela Bumann, what a gift.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you, Nancy.
What a gift. No, really, truly, truly, truly. You guys got to check this out. I'm so pleased that you came on the show. I think I did write down your website. If you guys want to get in touch with her, it's vibrantlivingnow.org.
Uh-huh.
You can find her. Is there anything you want to leave us with before I do my little spiel?
Well, if I would love to read Living in the Now just a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Page 67. And the
Great.
reason why is, like I said yesterday, talking to my hairdresser, he
Okay.
ran into his car
Oh, okay. Yeah.
to get this, and then he started to read, because I said, well, which part was it that really got you? And
Yeah.
I don't remember them. And then he ran into his car and he came out. And so I just love to read a little bit of this.
Go right ahead. Please do.
Thank you. Living in the now. The dolphin consciousness has stayed the course and maintained being the way showers, and assisted you to return to the water from which you came. An odyssey in the making, correlating one droplet at a time as the density of the human body is capable and filled up with the vibration of light, oscillating and charging differently right inside and within your body system. It translates into your outward experience, missioned into action and interaction, increasingly with your soul kind. And you will continue to feel a disconnect, a falling apart of sorts, and a lessening ability to tolerate vibration with life as a whole that is too far off your own coalescing into the waters of the earth through the pilgrim of now. An interconnected and interwoven higher intelligence raising its surf. This is according to original intent and orchestration, and how it should be, including every facet of your being and the way you nourish and feed yourself with life-giving and living food and water, charged with the correct amount of ions, replenishing the energetics and sodium potassium electrolyte balance of your system.
Well, that says a lot. That says a lot. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Daniela, for coming on the show. You guys got to pick up this book, Gliding You Home, A Dolphin's Dream of a New Earth. And that's what it looks like. If you're watching me on YouTube, if you're listening to me on the podcast, you guys got to pick this up. Hey, we're going to get out of here for today. But listen, I'm getting ready to go to LA. And I'm going to talk about the angels, and I'm going to talk about spiritual law and how to connect with your guardian angel. And I will be there at the New Life Expo 2024. You got to come and see me, Miss Daniela.
Yeah.
I'll be in LA. I'll be speaking on the 10th, Saturday evening. And so come and see me. And then I will be in Florida, you guys, in March. It's the 25th year of the New Life Expo, and I'll be there on March 16th and 17th. And I will be speaking again about the angels and connecting with your guardian angel, connecting with God, and spiritual law. So I just want to thank you again for coming on the show today, Daniela. Thank you so much. You guys,
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having had me.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, you guys, I want everyone to have a terrific weekend, and God bless.
has hit the